Which she'll be using. Witness number is one on the list.
So I see start more.
Because when Kenya's Mboto was testifying, you never ended up. Remember? We did end up the pro forma. We handed up exhibits that the state was going to use in the, I think it was exhibit GG. Yeah, fine. Put on equipment when the time comes. Yes, it was exhibit GG, and the photos, we handed out the photos that we are going to use as exhibit GG. Yes, exhibit GG1. So, my lord, the magistrate is on her way. I thought you did that before I came to court. We were just looking at the process and looking for the court defendant also. Just from my understanding, is that a statutory form? Yes, my lord, it's a pro forma. Is it a statutory form? Well, I don't think there's any prescribed format, my lord. Is that a statutory form? No, it's not, my lord. It's just a rule of practice that the presiding officers and justice of the peace use, my lord. So it's just a guide, a rule of practice, my lord. Okay. And who compiles that rule of practice? Well, like in this instance, my lord, the senior magistrate for a particular office would keep the pro forma, and when the need arises, the magistrate will then go to that senior magistrate and request a copy. So it's a practice that has developed throughout the years, my lord, just to make it easier for the process to be finalized, my lord. And in the compilation of that rule of practice, as you say, it complies with Section 35 of the Constitution. Yes, indeed, my lord. Now, what are you redacting? Well, during the process, my lord, of asking those introductory questions, certain things will be said by the deponent that are separate from the statement itself that should not, at this stage, my lord, be contained in the pro forma. Now we removing those portions until the prerequisites, my lord, have been determined. So in other words, those are the portions that were said by the deponent that actually belong to the statement itself. So we're removing them at this stage already, my lord, until the admissibility has been determined. Okay. Enough offense. No problem. So the witness in the following naam okay, die enige beswaar om u te neem. Sweer u dat de kennis wat u zal afgeven, de waarheid zal wees, de volle waarheid en niks anders als de waarheid
Steek je rechterhand op en zeg zo help mij God.
So help my God.
The witness is sworn in. The full names are Vivian Pretoria.
Soos jy op daar, die proforma is in Engels en die getuig in Afrikaans, so ons sal moet op 'n stadium besluit oor die taalkwessie.
Nee, die getuie verkies om te getuig in Afrikaans. In Afrikaans, in termen van onze constitutie, is een taal wat bekrachtigd is. So if he prefers to testify in Afrikaans, you must proceed in Afrikaans. Means you must translate those pro forma forms as they are worded, unless you have an Afrikaans version.
As a good please, my lord, we only have the English version, but we will proceed in Afrikaans.
This indicates, my lord, the question can be in English, you just respond in Afrikaans.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Ik wil verder onder die hofse aandacht brengen dat er een audio-opname van die onderhoud wat mevrouw Cronje met die deposant gehad het. Die audio-opname is beschikbaar. Ik heb voor mijn collega's meegedeeld dat daar die opname is beschikbaar. Ons gaan echter niet die audio-opname gebruiken, nie, maar dit is tot die beschikking van onze collega's.
There's also an audio recording that Mrs. Cronje did with the deponent. Indicated to my colleagues that that audio recording is available. We are not going to make use of it, but I placed it, made it available to my colleagues.
Okay. En verder, jullie is aangegeven dat is een proforma. Al die gevraagde gedeeltes is uitgewis en ons gaan op hierdie stadium verlof vra om die verlofvorm in te handig. Dis eintlik reeds ingehandig as bewijsstuk JJ. Ja, JJ. My collega's het insit gehad aan al die gevraagde gedeeltes wat uitgewis moet word.
We've already made mention, my lord, that there is a proforma, and there's also some parts that have been sketched out, and those were also indicated, or my colleagues know about that, and the form has already been handed in as Exhibit JJ.
Okay, yeah.
Ons aandag die gedateerde weergawe op. Ons sal dan vra dat die vorige afskrif wat ingehandig is aan ons terug besorg word.
Dit is niet bewust van de afschrift wat ingehandigd is in video of niet. Het is niet zo, de afschrift aanloopt.
Soos jou dag, dan Frans verlof om dan die geredacteerde afskrif as bewijsstuk JJ in te dien.
Okay,
Requesting to have after this version as Exhibit JJ.
and the one of Colonel Mboto will be exhibit, as you said.
It's GG.
Mboto is exhibit GG, okay? You'll have to have that one.
Sorry, Mboto is FF, I'm sorry, man.
I
It's
see. So
exhibit.
it's FF.
Yes,
Mboto.
FF.
Okay.
So far, the following exhibits have been handed up in a trial within a trial. It's Exhibit EE, the charge sheet of proceedings in the lower court in this matter.
And that was also, you have attached it to my
Yes,
bundle.
indeed.
Exhibit EE,
Yes,
right? Check sheet in the lower court,
yes.
right?
Exhibit FF is the pro forma, confession pro forma for case number 1 to Lieutenant Colonel Mboto on 30 May 2020.
Yeah.
Then there's Exhibit GG. It's a pro forma of pointing out by accused number 1 to Lieutenant Colonel Khadebe on 5 June 2020.
Disable.
Freely and voluntarily made, I say. Subject to confirmation by my learned friend, I suppose that is also applicable to the current statement.
Which was Mrs. Konje is going to testify?
Yes, indeed.
Is it a statement or a confession?
Is it a statement in terms of 217?
Okay,
So
217, it's a confession then.
Yes, it is a confession.
Right. Is it been disputed, the admissibility thereof? That's the reason. Is it being disputed?
It is being disputed.
On what basis?
On the basis of that it has been obtained under duress.
Obtained under duress.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That the deponent did not sign the statement.
The deponent did not sign the statement before Mrs. Konje.
Correct.
The deponent did not sign the statement before Mrs. Konje. Right?
And lastly, my lord, the statement was not made as alleged freely and voluntarily by the deponent.
So the statement was not made freely and voluntarily.
That's correct. Court please.
athi ke imbangela ukuthi kufanele nale statement ufakazi azofakaza ngaso ukuthi ke okokuqala le statement lesike akazange noma ke waphoqwa ke owayinikeza ngaso waphoqwa ukuthi ke anikeze ngaso akazange futhi asayinde phambi kwakhe ke umagistrate lona okhona lana uzoba ufakazi nokuthi futhi ke akazange akusho noma ke lokho okulapho kubhaliwe lapho bangaphumi kuyena ke ngokuyithandela.
Just one aspect, Mr. Jonas, I know you for years. You are competent to interpret from Afrikaans into English, English into Zulu, Afrikaans into Zulu, and vice versa.
Correct, sir.
Yeah, let's put it on record. Because we have to interpret from English for, I don't know, for some of our colleagues who don't understand Afrikaans. Are there people, colleagues here, who don't understand Afrikaans? Do we need an interpreter? Do we need interpreters?
Let's clarify an interpreter.
I don't.
So, I can understand a bit of Afrikaans, but I need interpretation.
Jonas is here. You interpret for all of you. Okay. Yes, Mr. Malone.
As indicated, the witness is witness number 91.
91, right, yeah.
Yeah, on the witness list. Mevrouw Cronje, wat is hier van beroep?
Mrs. Judge, net voor de antwoord van meneer de counsel. Mrs. Kronier, what is your occupation? Ufuna ukwazi umshoshiso ukuthi umsebenzi awenzayo uyini ma-antwoord.
Ek se Landros.
I am a magistrate, umantshi.
En bij watter kantoor is u verbonden?
In which office are you attached, ma'am? Yiphi ke inkantolo osebenza kuyona?
My standplaas is Kempton Park. Huidiglik verrig ek aflosdienste by die Takhof Vosloorus,
My
'n Takhof van Boksburghof.
Okay, my office is Kempton Park, but currently I am working on I've lost, yeah. Relief, sorry my lord, as a reliever at Vosloorus Court, which is a branch of Boksburg. Ngisebenza ke eKempton Park kodwa manje la engisiza khona ke ihhovisi noma inkantolo eFosloorus engaphansi kwayo iBoksburg.
Wat is die hoofsetel van die Vosloorus Takhof?
Boksburghof.
It's Boksburg Court. The question was which is the main branch of the Vosloorus Court, and it is Boksburg Court. Inkantolo yaseVosloorus ingaphansi ke kwayo inkantolo yaseBoksburg.
En hoe lang is u Landros?
How long have you been a magistrate?
Sedert 1996, 1 Julie.
Since the 1st of July 1996. Ukusuka ke nge-1 July 1996 nguyena umantshi.
My permanente aanstelling het eers 'n jaar later in 1997 deurgekom.
And my permanent appointment only came in a year later, that is now in 1997. Ukuthi ngiqashwe ke ngokuthi ke ngisebenzele noma ngibe-permanent kweza ke emuva kwesikhathi esingangonyaka ngo-1997.
Nou, voor u Landros geword het, wat het u gedoen?
Before becoming a magistrate, what were you doing? Ngaphambilini kokuthi ke ube uyena umantshi, yini owawuyenza?
Ek was 'n staatsaanklaer van beroep met ingang van 1 Desember 1990.
Okay, just a minute. Here in December 1990.
Nee, 1990. 1990.
Yeah, that's correct. I got that. I was a prosecutor starting from the 1st of December 1990. Nangiyumshushisi-ke ngaphambilini kokuthi ngibe nguyena umantshi, ngaqala ngo-1 December 1990.
Was tot en met 1 Julie toe u as Landros aangestel is.
Was that now up until 1 July when you were appointed as a magistrate?
Dis korrek.
That is correct. Yebo ke lokho bekwazi ngaba uyena ke umshushisi kwaze kwayoshaya ke uJuly noma i-1 July uma ngithola ke umsebenzi wokuthi ngibe yimantshi.
Is it correct that vir die tydperk 1 Julie 96 tot u permanente aanstelling in 97 u was waarnemend?
the office head of the magistrate in Boksburg, which is Mrs. Duplessis. Oyinhloko-ke noma ephethe-ke kwinkantolo yona-ke leyo eyase-Boksburg okuyena unkosikazi noma-ke uMrs. Duplessis. Yeah.
Het my op 24 Junie 2020 ongeveer 11:00 die oggend by Vosloorus telefonies gekontak.
Contacted me on the 24th of June 2020 at 11 o'clock in the morning telephonically. Yes, he contacted me telephonically at Boksburg Magistrate Court.
No,
Vosloorus. Yeah, Mariama. At Vosloorus Magistrate Court. Okwenzeka-ke lana ukuthi loyo-ke ophethe khona lapho-ke inkantolo yase-Vosloorus ekuyena uMrs. Duplessis ngazo i-24 zika-June 2020 isikhathi kwaku-11 ekuseni wangishayela ucingo. Yeah.
Het u dienste verricht Vosloorus half op die betrokken dag?
Did you perform duties at Vosloorus Court on the mentioned date?
Dis korrek.
That is correct. Kuyiqiniso ukuthi ngalelo langa lelo-ke ngangisebenza kuyona-ke leyo nkantolo leyo eyase-Vosloorus.
Ja, u kan voortgaan.
Sy het my versoek om 'n bekentenis af te neem te Boksburg Hof.
She requested me to take down a confession at Boksburg Court. Wase engicela-ke ukuthi ngithathe-ke noma ngiyokwenza noma ngiyobhala phansi-ke i-confession kwinkantolo yase-Boksburg.
Aangesien sy self en van die ander senior landrooster wat meer senior in posisie was, nie beskikbaar was om die konfessie af te neem nie weens hulle betrokkenheid na bewering by artikel 205 wat hulle self hanteer het met betrekking tot die aangeleentheid waarvoor ek versoek was om 'n konfessie af te neem.
Reason being that she herself, as well as other senior magistrates who were much senior, were in no position or couldn't be involved or take part in the taking down of the confession, seeing that they were personally involved in the section 205 of the very same matter. Isizathu-ke noma imbangela yokuthi angicele-ke kwakuwukuthi yena kanye nabanye noma-ke ozakwabo ababengaphezulu-ke kuyena ngesikhundla noma ababesina kuyena-ke bengakwazi-ke noma bengakwazi ukuthi bangayenza le confession lena ngoba-ke kwakusekukhona-ke ngaphambilini lokho kubizwa ngokuthi-ke u-section 205 okuhlanganisa nalo leli cala leli-ke ababasebekwenzile. Okusho ukuthi-ke babengakwazi ukuthi bangaphinde benze okunye okumayelana nalo lolu daba futhi.
Dis bietjie hoofsê maar dit vir die volgorde van die getuienis, dit sal seker nie veel skade doen as dit op rekord geplaas word.
It is yes, my lord, but as the evidence will be then unfolding or proceeding, I don't think that it won't cause that much of damage.
So, mevrou Duplessis het die meegedeel dat hulle gediskwalifiseer is aangesien hulle reeds betrokke was by artikel 205 aansoeke aangaan hierdie aangeleentheid.
So Mrs. Duplessis informed you, in other words, that they were now being they were disqualified in proceeding or taking down the confession, seeing that they had already been involved in the section 205 of the very same matter.
Dit is korrek.
Sorry.
I'll actually to raise an objection in relation to this evidence. It amounts to hearsay. Unless Mrs. Duplessis will be called to testify and confirm the contents thereof.
Is it?
As a court, please, my lord, it's not important. We're not going to belabor the point. We're not going to dwell on
that evidence.
Yes, as a court, please.
She received a call from Mrs. Duplessis, and she came.
Yes.
And conducted
Dis korrek.
an interview for the confession.
Yes. Yes, u kan voortgaan. Wat het toe verder gebeur?
Ek het ongeveer so 2:25 die middag, nadat my hof afgehandel is by Vosloorus, by Boksburg Hof gearriveer.
Okay.
safe and conduct. I arrived at I arrived then at the court, mentioned court, my lord, at 14:25 in the afternoon after my court at Boksburg was now done or had been concluded.
Sorry. First one is not Boksburg.
Okay, I'm just mixing these two courts. My apologies. Get it right. I'm confusing these two, Forceless and Boksburg. Ngafika ke kulenkantolo la engangicele khona ukuthi ngizokwenza confession lena. Isikhathi engafika ngaso u14:25 emuva kokuthi inkantolo la ebengisebenza khona yayise iqedile ngalelo langa lelo.
Ja.
Ek het na die kantoor beweeg wat vir my aangewys is te wete kamer nommer 2 waar ek die konfessie sou moes afneem wat vir my voorberei is.
Okay. I then proceeded to the office that was pointed out to me, which was room number 2, and where the confession would have then been prepared for me. Ngase ngihamba ke ngiya kulelo room ke noma kulelo kamera lelo ke abangikhombisa lona ke ebaku room number 2 la ekakuse khona ke confession leyo engangise izokwenzela khona.
Kan jy net dit opklaar? Wat was vir die gereed gemaak?
Can you just place that on record? What was prepared for you?
Net die kantoor was beskikbaar gestel vir my, sodat ek 'n plek het om te sit met die deposant en wie ook al teenwoordig moes wees om die konfessie te kon afneem.
It was only the office, my lord, that I was going to make use of, so that I would just have a place available for me together with the deponent and whoever would have been present. Kwakuyi-room nje lelo kuphela engangizohlala kulona ke kanye futhi naloyo ke engangizoxoxisana ngikhulumisane naye nomunye ke okwakuzoba nesidingo sokuthi abe khona lapho.
In die gang het ek 'n sterk teenwoordigheid van Ekurhuleni metropolisiebeamptes gevind wat gewapend was, wat daar rondgestaan en beweeg het.
In the passage, I then found a strong contingent of Ekurhuleni Metro Police who was standing there as well as moving around and who were also armed. Ngathi uma sengihamba ke epassagini ngathola ke amaphoyisa ke noma emetro police asekuruleni ayekhona ke lapho kulelo passage lelo futhi ke ayehlomile amanye ayemile amanye ke ayehamba noma enyakazi.
Een kant van hulle by die of naby die deur van die betrokke kantoor het ek 'n jongerige man gesien staan wat in handboeie was.
On the one side of where they were, on one side of the passage, just close to the door, I saw a young man who was handcuffed. Ngase ngibona ke bakhona ke lapho kolunye nje uhlangothi ke la babemi khona kunensizwa ke eyayimi lapho ke futhi ifakwe ozankosi.
Hy het weggestaan van die betrokke beweging van die Ekurhuleni metropolisielede en tesame met hom het gestaan 'n ander ouerige man wat netjies geklee was in 'n pak klere wat by hom gestaan het.
He was just standing away from the movement of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police, and next to him was an elderly gentleman who was smartly dressed, who was clothed in a suit. Eduze kwakhe ke kwakumi ke kunobaba ke ongathi ke uma umbhekile ke na ke kwakubaba osemdala noma osekhulile ke yena ke owayegqoke nje kahle futhi ke egqoke isuit.
Lissering ngamcela ke ukuthi angiphe uhla lamagama lalabo ababe khona lapho abasebenzela eKuruleni Metro Police.
Die persoon in die boeie, die man wat by hom gestaan het in die pakklere en die Ekurhuleni metropolisielede was nie een bekend aan my gewees nie.
The person that was handcuffed, the gentleman that was standing next to him wearing a suit, as well as the Ekurhuleni Metro Police officers, none of them were known to me. Kulona ke owayifaka uZankosi lona owayemeduze kwakhe ke egqoke isuti kanye nalabo abasebenzela eKuruleni Metro Police akekho noyedwa engangimazi kubona.
Meneer Lissering was nie beïndruk met die feit dat ek versoek het dat die lede se name aan my verskaf word wie die betrokke persoon wat die bekentenis moes aflê vergesel het nie.
Mr. Lissering was not impressed with my request to provide me with a list of names of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Metro Police officers, as well as the person who was accompanying the gentleman or the gentleman that was handcuffed.
En ek het hom maar net verduidelik.
Die staat gaan later vir meneer Constable Lissering roep as 'n getuie.
Mr. Lissering will be called later as a witness. Mr. Lissering ke akuzange kumphathe kahle ke lokho engacela kuyena ke ukuthi akangiphe uhla lamagama lalabo ke ama Metro Police officers lawo aseKuruleni kanye nalona futhi owayehamba nalona ke owayefaka uZankosi umshushisi useyasho ukuthi Mr. Lissering loyo ke uzobizwa ke naye njengofakazi.
Meneer Lissering is meegedeel dat alle persone betrokke by hierdie aangeleentheid en wat die betrokke persoon vergesel se name benodig word om aangeheg te word aan die konfessie vir deursigtigheid en hy het aangedui dat hy dit verstaan.
Mr. Lissering was informed that the names of all those that took part or that were involved in this matter, as well as the person accompanying the gentleman that was in handcuffs, that those were needed, and that Mr. Lissering was then understood that. Mr. Lissering wase etshelwa ke imbangela noma izathu ke sokuthi ke kuyisidingo ke sokuthi lawo magama lawo ke ayadingeka ke ukuthi la abe khona ke futhi azothi futhi ke abekwe ke noma hlanganiswe nayo ke i-confession lena, and that it was also necessary in order to attach it to the confession. That list would be attached to the confession.
Die senior landers was op daardie stadium ook in die gang en het so skuins agter meneer Lissering gestaan, ongeveer so 'n meter van hom af.
The senior landers. The senior magistrate was also present in that very same passage, just slightly behind Mr. Lissering, and was just a meter away from Mr. Lissering at that point. Ngaleso sikhathi leso ke umagistrate ke okuyena ke ophethe ke noma ke oyinhloko ke wayekhona ke kuleyo passage leyo, futhi ke nje emuva kwakhe uLissering futhi ke ibanga elingangemeter emuva kwakhe uMr. Lissering.
Meneer Lissering het aanvanklik voordat ek hom verduidelik het waarom die name benodig word, aangedui dat hy deur my geïntimideer voel.
And Mr. Lissering initially mentioned it to me that before I could explain to him the reason why the list was needed, informed me or said to me that he felt intimidated by me or by myself. Wasengitshela ke Mr. Lissering ngaphambilini nje kokuthi ngimtshele ke imbangela noma izathu sokuthi kwakungani amagama lawo ke efuneka ukuthi ke usezizwa
manje nomuntu ke osatshiswayo ke osatshiswa yimina.
Goed, daar was nou hierdie gesprek tussen u en meneer Constable Lissering oor die lys van almal wat teenwoordig daar was. Wat het toe gebeur na daardie gesprek?
There was now this conversation between yourself and Mr. Lissering about this list. What happened thereafter? Emuva kokuthi kusekhona le nkulumo phakathi kwakho noLissering mayelana namagama kwasekwenzekani emuva kwalokho?
Nadat ek aan hom verduidelik het waarom die lys benodig is, het hy verstaan en ek het in die kantoor inbeweeg.
After I then informed him the reason why the list was needed, he understood. I then moved into the office. Kuthe emuva kwalokho ke esezwile ke uma ngimchazela ngase ngena ke ngaphakathi ehhovisi.
Watter kantoor is hierdie nou?
Dit is kamer nommer 2 dat daar maar uitgewys is as die kamer of kantoor wat ek moet gebruik vir die konfessie.
which office is that? Now that is room number 2, which was pointed out to me as the room that I was going to use for the confession. Ile room ke noma le camera ke ele number 2 engangikhonjiswe lona ukuthi yilona engizolisebenzisa.
Ja, you can voortgaan.
Ek het my rekenaar opgestel en ek het my dokumentasie reg gekry waarna ek weer uit is na die senior landdros toe.
I then set up my PC or my computer, and then I also prepared my documents. Whereafter I went out again to the senior magistrate. Ngase ngilungisa-ke i-PC noma ke computer yami, ngase futhi ngikhipha-ke amaphepha-ke noma ke ama-documents engizowasebenzisa, ngase ngiphuma-ke emuva kwalokho ngaya kuyena-ke i-senior magistrate.
Ek is voorsien van 'n proforma vorm wat nie ingevul was nie.
I was provided with a pro forma form which was not completed, which was blank. Ngase nginikezwa-ke iphepha-ke ekubizwa ngokuthi i-pro forma ekwakungabhalwe lutho kulona.
En dit is die huidige vorm wat voor die hof is.
And it is the current form which is before the court. Iyona-ke lena ephambi kwe-court njengamanje.
Dis nog bewustig hier.
Ek het terugbeweeg, dis korrek. Ek het terugbeweeg in die kantoor in en terwyl ek in die kantoor inbeweeg het saam met my inbeweeg 'n polisiebeampte in privaat klere wie later aan my bekend geword het as Sergeant Lugani.
I then went back and moved back into the office, and together with me as I moved into the office, it was a police officer who was wearing a who was in private, who later became known to me as Sergeant Lugani. Ngathi-ke mase ngibuyela noma sengena-ke phakathi kwi-office lelo base ngilandelwa-ke iphoyisa kamuva-ke enganginganazi nanje uSergeant Lugani.
Terselfdertyd het die tolk inbeweeg asook die betrokke man wat ek buite gesien het wat in boeye was, asook die betrokke persoon wat saam met hom daar gestaan het ingekom in die kantoor.
At the same time, my lord, the interpreter moved in, went into the room, and then the gentleman in handcuffs moved into the room, as well as the person that accompanied that gentleman in handcuffs, who was wearing a suit, also went into the room. Kwathi-ke kwasengena naye-ke uTolika, kwangena-ke nalomlisa owayefakwe ozankosi, kanye futhi-ke kwangena nalo owayekhapha noma ehamba naye owayegqoke isuti.
You can voortgaan.
Betrokke tolk het aan die oorkant van die tafel aan my linkerkant gaan sit en die betrokke persoon in die handboeie het langs haar gaan sit aan die oorkant van die tafel aan my regterkant.
The interpreter sat in front of me, but on the more to the left, to my left, on the other side of the table. The person in the handcuffs sat next to the interpreter, which would be now to my right. Utolika-ke wase ehlala-ke phambi. Utolika wase ehlala-ke ngaphambili njena lapha, kodwa-ke kuhlangothi langaku-left, kwase kuthi lona-ke ufake ozankosi wahlala phambi kwami kuyena-ke kuhlangothi langakwesokudla.
May I withdraw my objection? May I withdraw my objection, my lord? It's something that has been clarified under interpretation.
What is it?
I was heard that the interpreter said,
Sit.
or sit instead of said.
No, it's Afrikaans. He sat on the other side of the table, and the deponent sat next to the interpreter. Okay.
Die man
Dra u kennis van die naam van die tolk?
Do you know the name of the interpreter?
Ja, dit was 'n mevrou Motla Ping wat gestasioneer is sover ek weet by Boksburg die Hoofhof.
Yes, it was Mrs. Mutlaping who, as far as my knowledge goes, is stationed at Boksburg Court. Utolika-ke uyabuza ukuthi amazini igama yebo kwaku Mrs. Mutlaping engimazi-ke ukuthi usebenza kwinkantolo yase Boksburg.
voortgaan.
Die betrokke man in die pak klere, wie later aan my bekend geword het as meneer Njiyaku, het skuins agter die deposant gaan sit op 'n stoel. Dit was die enigste ander beskikbare stoel in die kantoor. Die kantoor is 'n redelike klein kantoortjie.
Was it van Njiyaku, was it correct? Okay. The gentleman that was wearing a suit then went to sit just slightly behind the gentleman in the handcuffs, which was handcuffed, and in one of the chairs, which was the only chair that was available, because the office was a small office. Wasekuthi ke ubaba ke lona wayehamba ke noma ke ekhaphe lona wayifake ozankosi okwakumnumzana uMjiyako, yena ke wase ehlala nje emuva ke kwalona owayefake ozankosi.
Net vir rekorddeel eindes kan jy die naam Njiyaku spel.
Njiyaku.
Njiyaku is spelled as Mjiyako. Njiyaku.
Ja, jy kan voortgaan.
Meneer Njiyaku het skuins agter na die linkerkant van die persoon in die boeie gesit.
Mr. Mjiyako sat just slightly behind, more to the left side of the person in the handcuffs. Mjiyako ke wase ehlala ke emuva nje kancane ke ngakuhlangothi lwangaku-left walo owayefakwe ozankosi.
Sergeant Mogani het vir my aangedui dat hy van die nasionale cold case investigation unit in Pretoria is.
Sergeant Mogani informed me that he was from the National Cold Case Investigation Unit in Pretoria. Sorry. Yena-ke uSergeant Mogani wangazisa noma wangichazela-ke ukuthi ubuya noma ku-unit ababizwa ngokuthi National Cold Case Investigation in Pretoria.
En dat hy die persoon is wie die deposant na die kantoor gebring het.
And that he was the person who brought the deponent to the office. Nokuthi uyena-ke owayelethe loyo-ke owayezokhulumisana-ke noma ezomnika-ke istatement kulona lelo office.
Sizowaag, die staat gaan later vir Sergeant Mogani roep as 'n getuie.
Dit sal tydelik toegelaat word, die getuienis in verband met die uitgawings van Mr. Njiyaku. Mogani, sorry.
Sergeant Mogani.
Sergeant Mogani.
The state indicates that the state will call Sergeant Mogani at a later stage, and the court indicates that portion will be provisionally admitted.
Sergeant Mogani is versoek om sy aanstellingssertifikaat te toon aan my, welke hy dit ook gedoen het, en reëlings is met hom getref om afskrifte te maak van hierdie aanstellingssertifikaat wat ek later aan die konfessie vasgeheg het.
Sergeant Mogani was then requested to produce his appointment certificate, which he did, and I also made a request for him to make a copy or copies of that appointment certificate for it to be attached to the confession. Ngase ngimcela-ke uSergeant Mogani loyo-ke ukuthi akangikhombiseke lokhu okushoyo-ke noma-ke okuyinkomba yokuthi ngempela-ke uyiphoyisa lokhu abakubiza ngokuthi-ke i-appointment certificate into awayenza-ke leyo. Ngase ngimcela-ke ukuthi enze ikhophi leyo-ke izohlanganiswa-ke nayo i-confession leyo.
Terwyl ons op hierdie onderwerp is, kan jy net vir jou daardie foto van Sergeant Mogani aantoon?
Whilst we are on that subject, can you just show the court that photo of Sergeant Mogani?
Dit is aangeheg as A, bewysstuk A, of aanhangsel A, tot die dokument.
It is indicated as Exhibit A to this, Annexure A to this document, my lord. Lana-ke u-annexure noma-ke u-A kulona-ke lo document leyo.
Dit volg net na die certificaat deur die tolk, is dit reg?
Dis korrek.
Does it follow just after the certificate of the interpreter? Yes, it is correct.
Nou, die verschillende posities van al die mensen wat in die kantoor was uitgespeld, waar het sergeant Mogani plaatsgenemen in die kantoor.
You've already indicated the different positions where the different people sat in the office. Where did Sergeant Mukhane, where was he? uSergeant Mukhane yena njengoba usushilo ukuthi abanye labo behlezi kuphi nendawo kule office leli uMukhane yena wayekuphi nendawo.
Hy het gestaan aan die regterkant, aan my regterkant langs die tafel, terwyl hy vir my sy besonderhede gegee het en die aanstellingssertifikaat getoon het.
He stood on my right, stood on the right, that is now on my right side, that is now off the table, whilst he produced his documents as well as his appointment certificate to me. uMukhane yena-ke wayeme uhlangothi langakwesokudla-ke letafula noma kuhlangothi langasokudla la engangihlezi khona-ke ngale nkathi enginikeza-ke i-certificate leso-ke esikhombisayo ukuthi ngempela uyiphoyisa nokuthi uqale nokuthi abe yiphoyisa.
Ja.
Ek het aan hom ook dieselfde versoek gerig, dat die persone wat van Ekurhuleni daar was, hulle aanstellingssertifikate, afskrifte moet voorsien, sodat daar genotuleer kan word wie almal teenwoordig was.
I then made the same request to him that the Ekurhuleni Metro Police officers that were there, that copies be made of their appointment certificates so that it can be noted as to who was present there. Ngase ngenza leso sicelo nakuyena-ke ukuthi labo be-Metro Police noma Ekurhuleni Metro Police ababe khona lapho ukuthi nabo-ke kwenziwe amakhophi awo ama-appointment certificates abo ukuthi-ke kuzobonakala-ke noma-ke kuzobhalwa-ke ukuthi obani ababe khona lapho ngalelo langa.
Daar is aan my aangetoon dat al die beamptes die gang verlaat het.
It was indicated to me, or it was brought to my attention, that all the officers had left the passage. Ngase ngitshelwa-ke ukuthi bonke-ke lapho-ke abasekho-ke manje sebesukile-ke lapho epassage.
Hoeveel beamptes was daar, min of meer?
How many officers were there, more or less? Babe bangaki-ke ama-officer aye lapho.
Ek het nie getel presies hoeveel daar was nie, maar daar was 'n sterk teenwoordigheid van ongeveer ten minste 8.
I didn't count as to how many, but there was this strong contingent of that was there of more or less or roughly about 8. Angikaze-ke noma angibabalanga-ke kodwa-ke babe baningi-ke ababe lapho engathi nje kwakungaba u-8.
Ek het nie weer die kantoor op daai stadium verlaat nie en sou ook dus nie kon sê of hulle wel die gang verlaat het nie.
I didn't leave the office again thereafter, so I couldn't confirm as to whether indeed they had left the passage. Angiphumanga-ke lapho futhi noma-ke kuleyo office futhi ngakho-ke ngangeke ngisho ukuthi ngempela-ke babe sebehambile noma cha.
Sergeant Mukhane het vir my meegedeel dat slegs 2 beamptes buite die kantoordeur sal wees en hulle aanstellingssertifikate, afskrifte daarvan is aan my verskaf wat aangeheg is tot die konfessie later as B en C.
Sergeant Mukhane then informed me that only 2 officers would be present outside the door, and their copies of their appointment certificates were then provided to me, which are attached here as annexure B and C. Wase engitshela-ke uMukhane ukuthi babili kuphela-ke abazosala-ke abazoma ngaphandle-ke emnyango bona-ke amakhophi-ke certificate zabo bezoqashwa uzomnikeza akhona-ke lana u-B kanye no-C.
Kan u weer eens uit hoofde van bewystek hier met hulle name op record plaas?
Can you just put their names on records?
Die een beampte is meneer Liesering, wie ek vroeër gepraat het in die gang.
The one officer is Mr. Liesering, the one that I spoke to earlier on in the passage.
En die ander beampte is meneer Jonathan.
And the other officer is Mr. Jonathan. Sorry, uchaza-ke amagama alabo abawu-2 athi babemi ngaphandle-ke Mr. Liesering akhulumile ngaye ngaphambilini kanye no-Mr. Jonathan. Ibona-ke ababemi ngaphandle-ke emnyango.
Ja, u kan voortgaan.
Nadat Sergeant Mukhane al die relevante inligting aan my verskaf het wat benodig is om die konfessie te voltooi ten opsigte van die polisiestasie en die kasnommer en sy naam en van waar hy is, het ek hom gelas om buite die kantoor te wag en die kantoor te verlaat en hy het dit gedoen en die deur is toegemaak.
After Sergeant Mukhane had then provided me with all the details, my lord, that is now the police station, the case number, his particulars, where he was coming from, I then requested him to leave the office and the door was then closed. Emuva kokuthi-ke uMukhane esenginikeze yonke-ke imininingwane mayelana-ke necala-ke noma udaba lolu-ke ukuthi kubuya kuphi i-police station, imininingwane yakhe kanye futhi ne-case number, ngase ngimcela-ke ukuthi aphume-ke emuva kwalokho isithapha savalwa.
In die betrokke kantoor op daai stadium was myself, die tolk, die beampte in die deposant in boeye en dan ook die persoon in die pak klere, meneer Njiyako.
People that were now in the office at that time, it was myself, the interpreter, the person in the handcuffs, as well as the person that was wearing the suit, Mr. Njiyako. Kwase kusala-ke e-ofisi mina, uTolika, lona-ke wayefakwe ozankosi, kanye-ke futhi naloyo owayegqoke isuti.
Ja, u kan voortgaan.
Ek het op 'n baie informele basis met die deposant begin praat om hom op sy gemak te stel indien daar enige probleme sou wees.
I then spoke to the deponent in a more informal way, just to let him feel to be at ease if maybe there was any issue or any problem with him. Ngase ngikhulumisana naye-ke loyo-ke yena lo owayefakwe ozankosi ngendlela-ke engathi kwakungaqondi noma kwangekho nje formally-ke ukuthi nje uma kwakunekhona inkinga awayenayo noma eyayikhona-ke ukumenza nje ukuthi-ke akhululeke.
En het vasgestel.
Ekskuus, in watter taal het jy met die deposant gebesig?
In which language were you now speaking to the deponent? Yiluphi ulimi owukhulumisana naye ngalo?
Ek het Engels met hom gepraat en dit is getolk.
I spoke to him in English and it was interpreted. Ngakhulumisana naye-ke ngesingisi noma English kwase kutolwe ukunyusha.
Tydens hierdie gesprek het hy vir my meegedeel dat meneer Njiyako is sy prokureur.
And in that conversation, he informed me that Mr. Njiyako was his legal representative. Wase engitshela-ke kuleyo nkulumo leyo ukuthi umnumzana Njiyako ummeli wakhe.
Hy het ook aan my meegedeel dat hy sal graag die verrigtinge wou voortsit in die teenwoordigheid van hierdie meneer Njiyako.
He further informed me that he would like to proceed in the presence of Mr. Njiyako. Wase ngitshela-ke nokuthi-ke angathanda ukuthi aqhubekeke ku-Mr. Njiyako ekhona.
Meneer Njiyako het vir my sy aanstellingssertifikaat getoon en sy Fidelity Fund sertifikaat, welke nommer ek ook genotuleer het op die dokument as 04415 van 2020.
Mr. Njiyako produced to me his appointment certificate as well as his Fidelity Funds with the number which I noted on this document, which is 04415 of 2020. Mr. Njiyako-ke wase engibonisa-ke naye-ke esakhe certificate esishoyo-ke ukuthi ngempela-ke uyasebenza noma umsebenzi wakhe awenzayo yini, kanye-ke nokubizwa ngokuthi i-Fidelity Funds nale number eku-04415 of 2020.
Nou, hierdie aanstellingssertifikaat, wat het dit behels? Wat was dit geweest?
This appointment certificate, what was it? What did it contain?
Dit het aangetoon dat hy aangestel is as 'n gekwalifiseerde prokureur.
It indicated that he has been appointed as a qualified lawyer.
Search order trail.
Njiyako het dan ook bevestig aan my dat hy wel die rasverteenwoordiger is van die betrokke persoon voor my.
Mr. Mjiako also then confirmed that he was indeed the legal representative of the person that was before me. Wase-ke uMjiako ngempela-ke ekusho-ke noma ekuvuma-ke lokho ukuthi ngempela-ke wayewuyena ummeli waloyo muntu-ke owayephambi kwami.
Yes.
Ek het dan voortgegaan met die dokument en die invul daarvan nadat die persoon in die boeie homself voorgestel het aan my as Bongani Sandiso Ntanzi en ek sy betrokke besonderhede van hom afbekom het en ingevul het op die verklaring.
I then started or proceeded with the completion of this document. That was now after the person in front of me or before me introduced himself to me as Bongani Sandiso Ntanzi. Now, this now the completion, then now proceeded with the completion of the document. Ngase ngiqala-ke ukuthi manje ngigcwaliseke noma ngibhaleke i-document lena-ke emuva kokuthi umuntu loyo-ke eseyichazileke ukuthi yena noma ezithulileke kumina ukuthi uBongani Sandiso Ntanzi.
Ek het begin dan voorts met bladsy 1 wat lees as volg: note details of the opponent's general appearance, mood and any noteworthy action. En het ek voortgegaan om sy kleredrag en sy optrede en houding voor my te notuleer.
Okay. I then started now with the completion of this document where now it says note details of the opponent's general appearance, mood, or any noteworthy actions. That is when now I started with now describing that is now the person in front of me or before me, the clothing, his clothing. Wat het hier nog genoem? Sy kleredrag en
Hoe hy optree.
as well as his conduct. Ngase ngimchaza-ke manje-ke ukuthi indlela-ke engibona ngayo nanjengoba ephambi kwami-ke agqokile kanye futhi-ke nendlela abonakala engayo.
Ek het hom gevra of hy enige mediese toestand of beserings wil genotuleer het, waarna hy my dan ook geantwoord het daarop.
I then
En ek het dit so genotuleer.
I asked him whether he had any medical conditions, any injuries that he would like me to note or to record, to write down, and I noted it or recorded it as such. Ngase ngimbuza-ke ukuthi mhlawumbe khona-ke la angaphathekile kahle-ke khona-ke ngosempilweni noma khona ukulimala anako yini. Ngase ngibhala-ke ngaleyo ndlela-ke angichazela ngayo.
Goed, ons sal Antons terugkom na daardie inskrywing wat jy gemaak het.
We'll get back to that inscription with you.
Ja, jy kan voortgaan.
Ek het voortgegaan om die dokument te volg en die vrae te vra soos wat dit uitgetik is op die proforma vorm en te notuleer wat die antwoorde was.
I then proceeded now with the form, that is now the completion of the form, and also posing the questions or putting the questions as they are on the proforma form and noted down the answers. Ngase ngiqhubeka-ke ukuthi ngibuzeke imibuzo ngale ndlela-ke ebhalwe ngayo kuyona-ke le form lena nokuthi-ke iy'mpendulo-ke ngiyibhale phansi nazo.
Ekskuus, jy het later jy het vooraf gesê jy het hierdie vorm bevestig hier. Dis aan die verskaf, dit was skoon gewees, wie het die vorm aan die verskaf?
Earlier on you informed the court or you told the court that this performer was given to you or was provided to you and it was not completed, in other words it was a blank. Who provided you with this performer?
Die senior landros mevrou Du Plessis.
The senior magistrate Mrs. Du Plessis. Ushilo-ke ngaphambilini ukuthi iform lena-ke wathi uma-ke wayinikezwa futhi uma uyinikeza-ke kangabhalwe lutho kuyona. Ubani wayinikeza? Uthi-ke u-senior magistrate Mrs. Du Plessis.
Het jy van tevore bekentenis afgeneem?
Did you previously or had you previously taken down a confession?
Dis korrek.
That is correct. Ngabe ngaphambilini lokho abakubiza ngokuthi i-confession wawuke wakwenza yini, wathatha yini? Yebo, kunjalo.
Min of meer hoeveel?
More or less how many?
Dit is moeilik om te sê, aangezien ek nie pertinent record gehou het nie, maar ek sou sê nie minder as 50 nie.
It is difficult to say, seeing that I never kept a record of that, but I would say not less than 50. Angeke ngisho-ke ukuthi-ke amangakanani-ke ngoba-ke ngangabhali phansi-ke ukuthi-ke ngigcine i-record ukuthi mangaka, kodwa ngingasho nje ukuthi awekho ngaphansi kuka-50.
Wil net sê dit is ten opsigte van die hele tydperk van my beroep.
I just want to make mention or to mention that that is for the whole duration of working. Ngifuna ukusho lokho ukuthi lokho ke noma lo 50 noma ngaphansi ko 50 sonke lesikhathi ngisebenza.
Nou, die wist hier hier, die vorm is het een standaard vorm wat jullie gebruikt voor doelendes van bekentenissen.
This form now, Exhibit JJ, is the standard form that you use for confessions.
Hier is 'n standaardvorm wat by Boksburg gebruik word. Ander howe het hulle eie standaardvorms wat hulle gebruik, maar die inhoud is min of meer dieselfde en voldoen aan die bepalings van die grondwet.
This form is a standard form that is used in Boksburg. Other offices have got their standard form, but the content is the same, but it is according to the requirements of the Constitution. The form lena-ke iyona-ke esetshenziswa eBoksburg. Amanye amahhovisi-ke aneyawo-ke iform, kodwa lokhu okubhaliwe kuwona-ke into eyodwa futhi-ke ihambisana-ke nawo umthetho asisekelo.
Ek wil net byvoeg, hierdie is 'n riglyn. Dit beteken nie dat as landdros jy voel dat jy nog vrae wil byvra, jy net gebonde is aan hierdie vrae nie en kan jy verder vrae vra solank dit genotuleer is.
I just want to further mention that this is a guideline, but it doesn't restrict you as a magistrate that you only stick to these questions that are noted here. If it is that you want to ask further questions, as long as they're just noted or recorded down. Funa-ke ukusho ukuthi-ke yona-ke iform lena-ke yona-ke esetshenziswayo-ke noma-ke ekuyi-guideline, kodwa-ke akusho lokho ukuthi nanjengemanje wena-ke uphelela nje kule mibuzo ebhaliwe lana. Uma kuwukuthi khona eminye imibuzo ofisa ukuthi uyibuzeke, usungakwenza-ke lokho ukuthi nje okufunekayo ukuthi nje uyibhale phansi.
Goed, ik kan voortgaan in die vorm behandel.
In hierdie betrokke geval het ek nie nodig geag om verdere vrae te vra buiten die vrae wat hier getik is nie, aangesien dit al die vereistes vir 'n konfessie dek.
In this instance, my Lord, I did not see any need for me to ask any further questions, seeing that the questions that are here, that are typed here, cover all the requirements. Mina-ke angisibonanga-ke isidingo, noma sibangakhona-ke isidingo sokuthi ngibuzeke eminye imibuzo-ke ngaphandleni kwalena-ke imibuzo ekhona-ke la.
Ja, ik kan voortgaan.
Nadat ek al die standaard vrae gevra het soos wat uiteengesit is in bewysstuk JJ vanaf vraag nommer 1 tot en met vraag nommer 13 en die hof, het ek voortgegaan het om die konfessie af te neem nadat hy vertel het wat hy wou vertel. Is elke bladsy insluitend die betrokke bladsy waaroor ek vandag getuig teruggetolk na hom toe deur die tolk.
After going through all the standard questions, which are from question number 1 up to question number 13, as well as taking down now the confession where he said everything that he wanted to say, including the page that I'm here to testify about. Everything or every page was then interpreted back to him. Emuva kokuthi-ke sengibuze yonke-ke imibuzo kusukela kuyena-ke unumber 1 kwaze kwayofika-ke kunumber 13, nokuthi-ke sengiqalile-ke nokuthi ngithathe-ke i-confession ukuthi asho konke lokho ayifisa ukuthi akusho-ke, kanye-ke nale page le engizofakaza ngayo namuhla, yonke into-ke wase eyitolikelwa.
Die betrokke persoon wat met wie ek die onderhoud gevoer het, is sy ene meneer Bongani en Tanzi soos aangedui is, en nadat elke bladsy en alles wat gedoen was in sy teenwoordigheid en neergeskryf is en neergepen is, vir hom teruggetolk is en hy aangedui dat hy tevrede is met dit wat genotuleer is hy versoek om iedere en elke bladsy te teken, welke hy dan ook gedoen het in my teenwoordigheid en in die teenwoordigheid van die tolk en in die teenwoordigheid van sy prokureur.
After myself and now the person with whom I had an interview, as I earlier on indicated that it was Mr. Bongani Ntanzi, every document completed and everything read back, and interpreted back to him. I then requested him, and after he had indicated that he was satisfied, then requested him to sign each and every page in my presence, in the presence of the interpreter, as well as in the presence of his legal representative, Mr. Mjiyako.
Okay.
Emuva-ke kokuthi-ke konke-ke sekwenziwe-ke kubhalwe phansi yonke into-ke esetolikelwe konke-ke okulana-ke ngase ngimcela-ke kukhona mina, kukhona utolika, kukhona kanye-ke nommeli wakhe uMr. Mjiyako, ukuthi nasemuva kokuthi eshilo-ke futhi ukuthi wenelisekile-ke ngabo konke noma ngayo yonke into, ngamcela ukuthi kuyasayinde ipage ngayodwa kulama page lana.
Okay, mevrou, ons sal Antons terugkeer na die aspek. Kan u maar die vorm soos dit is in die record inlees?
We will get back to that. Can you then read the form as is into the record?
Polisiestasie, I will read it in English because it's English.
Begin by die hoofstuk.
Statement in terms of Section 217, Act 51 of 77. Police Station and cast number Vosloorus 636-10-2014.
Read that to the end, it's fine. Okay.
On the 24th of June 2020 at 14:30 and at Boksburg in the district of Ekurhuleni North, before me, Ms. V. Cronje, additional magistrate for the district, and behind closed doors I invite the deponent into my private office room number 2, and in the presence of Ms. Evelyn Tsepisu Motlaping as interpreter appears Bongani Sandisu Ntanzi, male, 1990-12-02.
Yeah.
Assisted by Mr. Dominic Ntokozi Mjiyaku on insistence of Mr. Ntanzi. No other persons present.
Yes, just a minute, just give the interpreter a chance.
I requested you to just read the full, I'll interpret.
Fidelity Fund Certificate 04415 of 2020.
Lana-ke le form ifundeka ngale ndlela-ke ukuthi i-statement-eke lesi esenziwe-ke phansi kwakhe-ke usection 217, is it 217-51 ka-1977. I-police station kanye-ke ne-case number Phosphorus 63610-2014, ilanga-ke i-24 zikaJune 2020, isikhathi u-2:30 emini 14:30, enkantolo-ke yase-Boksburg Ekurhuleni. Phambi kwami uMr. V. Cronje, magistrate, futhi-ke kuyinkantolo noma-ke kuyihhovisi elivaliwe. Ngase-ke ngibiza-ke loyo-ke engangizokhulumisana naye-ke kwihhovisi lami eli-private, room number 2. Kukhona-ke uMiss Evelyn Tsepiso Motlaping nanjengotolika. Phambi kwami-ke kukhona-ke uBongani Sandiso Ntanzi, umuntu wesilisa, 1990-12-02. Ngilekelelwa-ke u-M. Dominic Mtokozo Mjiyako ngesicelo sakhe-ke yena-ke umnumzana uNtanzi, kanye-ke nale namba ebibiziwe yakhe-ke uMjiyako FFC 04415-2020.
Excuse, daardie gegevens 1990-12-02, waarvan dan is dit afkomstig?
Die deposant, meneer Bongani Ntanzi, het dit aan my verskaf.
Now, those details there, 1990-12-02, where did you get the information from? The deponent, Mr. Bongani Sandiso Ntanzi, provided me with those. Kuyabuza kumshushisa ukuthi lokho kubhalwe laphayana-ke u-1990-12-02 wakuthola kuphi, uthi ngimephendula-ke uBongani Sandiso Ntanzi uyena-ke owanginikeza leya mininingwane.
Yes, yeah.
The department was brought to my office by Sergeant Vusumuzi Mugwane, National Cold Case Investigation Unit, Pretoria. Note details of the opponent's general appearance, mood, or any noteworthy actions. It was noted that the opponent is confident, made good direct eye contact. He wore a blue medical face mask, long sleeve navy blue, light blue front top, Impala emblem, track suit jacket, and a blue denim. Both his hands were cuffed in front of him.
Just net 'n oombliekie. Dan is die gedeelte wat my gelede versoek het dat dit nie op rekord geplaas moet word.
That's now, just a moment, that's the part that my colleague requested not to be placed on record.